Today, what I'm going to be reviewing is not the hammer that I've been building down there that you can't see because it's off screen, or none of the props that are off just to this side of the camera that you can't see. I have a lot of stuff that you can't see, apparently. What I will be reviewing is the process and template, the Andrew DFT Halo ODST helmet. Now, a lot of what you're seeing here, this piece up on the top, the side, the back, the wire, that is all my doing. That is all my personal doing to change it and make it my own. But the core of the helmet was provided by the free template of Andrew DFT in his video, his entire docu-series of him making an ODST costume. The helmet just happens to be the first of that series. So, starting off, initial thoughts. The template is very simple, and his video is very straightforward in the process of making it. It's very easy to identify which piece he's working with and when he's working with it. He's very clear in what he's saying, and when he's showing is also very accurate to what he's saying as well. There's no steps you have to figure out along the way. It all makes sense. You know, he starts off cutting all the pieces out. He tells you what pieces you need, in what order to do them, how to connect them. He gives you a few extra tips along the way, like this piece, stretch it, bend it. Specifically, he was saying that for the back, for the pad that runs all the way around the back of the helmet, as well as for the chin pad. He started off his video with those sections saying, you know, bend them, they'll be easier to work with throughout if they're already bent. And it'll keep the shape nicer too, because it's going to hold the core. It's going to be the bottom of the helmet. You don't want that flaring out. Going on to the visuals of the helmet, it's a very bare bones ODST helmet, but it does the job incredibly well. My one complaint about the structure of his raw template, and you can see this back in the video that he's produced along with it, is it creates a very flat helmet. If you notice, the top of the helmet is very flat going all the way through. These don't round and curve and bump like they should. Things like that. And it stays a little narrow too. To the extent of it being a little narrow that I actually put pads on the inside of the helmet here, so when I put it on, it puffs out. And that's another thing, is this fits the head very nicely. It's actually incredibly comfortable to wear. I'll take my glasses off. It's not bad. It's not difficult to put on by any means. It's easy to see through, and it's all around a pretty solid helmet. It holds good, and I enjoy it. There are a few things that I changed about the helmet. Or, sorry, not about the helmet, but at the construction of it. Not for any ease, but just because of what was available. So, in his video, the foam he used was twice as thick as the foam I'm using here. My foam is a lot thinner, and that was done with two intentional decisions. One, this big roll of foam that I have was cheaper and more for that than it would to be for where I have it available to buy, you know, 4-pack of EVA floor mat foam. So it was cheaper, and this foam that I have is more flexible to begin with. It's more flexible cool, so I don't have to heat it as much, and it's not going to stay as rigid. It's going to let those seams pull on each other more, but this force is going to be, you know, equaled out across more of the piece because it's softer. So it's going to end up, you know, holding together a little better in the long term. Personally, that's how I feel about it. Andrew DFT is really good about rating his builds. He rated this, I believe it was a 2 out of 10, if not maybe a 3 out of 10. There's a few difficult cuts just because of angles, and a few interesting gluing angles. The hardest piece to glue on was the top of the head going all the way back, just because of some of the angles and how you have to work kind of slow with it, and there's no good way to grab it. But again, that's fine. The one thing I would have asked for is a tutorial on how to build and put together the visor, because I had to figure that out myself. Now, I used a much thicker plastic for the visor than he did in his, so I have no doubt that that was making it harder on myself. But yeah, a few other things that I changed from my video, for my prop, is in his helmet, these pieces here and here, he had turned the other way. He had all the foam facing the same way, so that the smooth foam, the smooth side, was facing out. Personally, I prefer the look of having the texture here on the outside of these two pieces. I think it just looks a little better. Alright. Now, where's the cons in this? The cons of this helmet are going to come down to really just the same things I've already said. It starts a little too narrow, and to get it to look a lot better, there's a few things you'd have to change about the construction. Now, luckily, they're not hard changes. They're just things that would be easier to avoid with a modified template. So, to start, these two pieces here, where they run along the side, this piece is supposed to be incredibly domed, almost a complete hook, right? So, if I was to redo this, or if I was to pull these off and put new ones on, how I would change it is I would cut 2 grooves in the middle of this piece, running the full length, so I could fold it and glue it down on itself so it would hold its dome better, because that is one side effect of the thinner foam, is when you heat it and you form it, it doesn't hold the shape as long because it's not as strong. This piece I would only do once, because doing it once means this would have a shallower curve, which this needs to have. I would also change the 2 cuts, the cut on this edge and the cut on this edge of these 2 pieces, because it would allow it to connect and sit a little more flush. As well, I would probably add a few grooves going down, the entire top of the helmet here, because this is also supposed to be domed, and I just think it would look a little better. Going on to my personal modifications, these were made just for style. These don't hinder or benefit the build in any way. If any of these pieces that I have added to this helmet benefit the helmet in any way whatsoever, it would have to be this piece up front, because it adds extra rigidity to the front of the chin. As you can see, you have the regular chin line that's there, and then I glued this entire chunk on as well. I glued this on just so I had something to say to myself, oh, okay, past my chin, past that, fully on, and I'm good. The other piece I added was back here to the back. So at first, this was the entire back pad, right? So you had this very sloped look for the helmet, where when you would wear it, it would just be a straight line all the way up. To break that line and to give a little more dimension, I added a sort of a neck pad piece, I guess you could call it. I plan to add an extended chin pad that can come on and off, or can hinge, so that way if I'm to wear it with a full costume, I can have a full seal of the head, which would be nice. Another thing I did is, in this gap here that I can stick my finger through, he closed it. I left it open because I feel that it adds a little bit more ventilation to the helmet, because that's something you have to remember, is that a foam helmet, especially something that's a lot of layers and a lot of building and has a lot of hot glue in it like this does, is going to be very warm when you wear it, and that's going to be a problem. But as for the most part, I agree with Andrew's rating of this build very much. Go check out his video. I will have his video linked in the description below, so that way you can go and you can watch his original video. As always with any of my reviews that are coming from somebody else's templates, that is my intention, simply to communicate my opinions on an existing product. It's real cool. If there is interest, I will do another video breaking down how I made each of the pieces that I added on. And that video would probably follow more of the tutorial style, because if I was to make them again, they would go onto another helmet, because I would probably make this helmet again, making my prior adjustments to make it look a little bit better. For me, at least, I believe this could look a lot better. Next step in the process with this helmet is to paint it, color the visor, everything else. Otherwise, it's good. It's beautiful. I give it, let's see. I would give this a 8 out of 10 for final ratings. Give it an 8 out of 10 overall. Construction ease, I would as well give it a 9 out of 10. You know, it's pretty easy. Like I said, gluing the top of the helmet on took a little bit of effort. I had to peel it off and retry at one point. But otherwise, construction's pretty good. Yeah. All around, I'm going to stick with 8 out of 10. It fits, it works. I like it. Oh, and he has multiple sizes and instructions on how to resize his templates for different sized people, which is nice. But yeah. Anyway, I will catch you all in the next one.